of baldness. There are attempts to regrow and recolonize, but it's highly unlikely that will happen until the fall season. Notice that big crater, right? Well, it's a scratch mark, but oh well. Yeah, I'm sorry. I kept. I'm still laughing about the astronauts, the astral sluts, whatever you want to call them, because the more and more I look at that flight by Katy Perry and her band of misfits or whatever. Oh yeah, the one gal who got to go into space because she's boinking the billionaire who bought, who created the thing. I'm like, yeah, that makes you an astronaut. Let's not talk about the gal who just spent like 9 months in space. You know, yet you went into, you had zero G for like a couple, not even a few seconds, and you're an astronaut. I'm sorry, it just tickles me, weird in the wrong, funny way when you've got so many people out there now. They wrote some fan fiction and stuck it on, Twitter or whatever. Though they tried to sell it on Amazon as self-published, and now they're an author. Me, I've written a lot of things in my life, but I do not call myself an author. To me, an author would be like Oscar Wilde, Stephen King, even Dean Koontz or whatever. But, ugh. But astronauts have to undergo, years of training, college degrees, physical fitness training. They have to learn everything there is to know about the ship they're in. And I just found out these gals did an astounding 2 days of training for that how many minute rocket flight. It was like 10 or 11 minutes. And the majority of it was getting in and out of the spacecraft and buckling your safety belts. I'm like, oh my God. And now they're wearing heeled boots with fashion designed space outfits. And the whole thing's fishy too because the door opens inward on the capsule. I'm like, that means there's no way in hell you went into space or actual space because, oh man. Plus, there's no re-entry burns on any bit of the capsule, which means they didn't even breach the atmosphere. Uh, go look at a SpaceX capsule that's been to space and back, and then look at the whatever that damn thing was. I remember back when some company was actually trying to take volunteers for a one-way trip to Mars, and I'm like, I got a group of volunteers, the Kardashians. They'll probably selfie the whole thing. But it's just crazy, that, they're trying to claim, we did the exact same flight as Alan Shepard. Alan Shepard got on that thing knowing he wasn't coming back. Or, there was a good chance he wasn't coming back. Plus, he operated a lot of his own flight systems and all that. Theirs was remotely controlled. Sure, and even the Soviets, made sure their astronauts were trained, and they remotely flew just about everything. If you ever, trust me, read a book called The Wrong Stuff, and, yeah, that's the thing. I don't think they even left the lower atmosphere because there's no reentry marks on the capsule, the origin, whatever the hell it was. I'm like, which means you didn't breach the atmosphere. Basically, I could go, ride the Demon Drop that used to be at Cedar Point and call myself an astronaut because that's basically what it was. But, well, I think Alan Shepard was the first man into space, wasn't he? And John Glenn, of course, was was it Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier? Oh, God, I feel bad because I can't remember half this shit, and I should know this. Now, yeah, John Glenn went up into space, yeah, but you remember, he was still an astronaut. And even then, they had to monitor his health and all that. No, the reason why I named this video Doctor Who News isn't that okay? That's refreshing. Is we just recently had it revealed, and I saw this quote and my eyes bugged out. Virata Sethu got the role for Belinda Chandra literally 2 weeks before she got the role in the scripts. Literally 2 weeks before they started filming. And I'm like, that tells me something's going on here, because normally they have, no wonder we didn't get any real preview of who the new companion was or anything like that. It's like, either they did that strategically to avoid some kind of leakage to the press, or I'm really worried, because you're about to go into a new season with a new companion, and you ain't even casted him 2 weeks before you started filming? That just makes me really worry about, how many marbles are left in Rusty's head. That means there's almost little to no time for read-throughs, little to no time for rehearsals. Makes me respect, Virata Sethu a lot more, that she's done so freaking well. If she only got handed the scripts 2 weeks before filming and knew she got the role, because how do you really buckle in and, trust me, if you watch this channel, I knew long before, I don't want to say I knew, but some people I knew that he was the new master. Now, when he got the role, that's right, I agree, I don't know, but I'm not kidding. I'm beginning to wonder if he has lost the plot, because you're going into a new series and you haven't even casted the new companion 2 weeks before you're going to start filming. That really worries me. Because we knew about, all the other companions pretty much well before. It was announced via here and there, or, leaked or whatnot. And that's right. Yeah, I forgot to mention. Well, I haven't watched Andor. I'm not kidding. Young Sheldon's the first prequel series I've liked in a long time. Because, sure, there are other series like, Mandalorian and all that take place for the new movies and all that, but they're in their own part of that universe. They don't, really, except for the fact Luke Skywalker shows up. Spoilers! And they actually did better with Luke than the sequel series of movies did. I know that, but was Virata on Torchwood? I don't know. I told the wife to go ahead and watch Georgie and Mandy. It's just, I've come to the end of the series, and I really enjoyed the series, and do I really give a shit about Georgie and Mandy? And, I love the character of Meemaw, by, what do you call it, Annie Potts. I love she did a great job with that character. That right there was part of it, because that reminded me of a lot of my various Southern relatives. So, Indira Varma played Susie. If that's what you're referring to. Indira Varma was also in, all kinds of shit. I think like Rome, and she also appeared in Ben Kenobi, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And if that's who you're referring to, yeah, Indira Varma played Susie. She was also in Game of Thrones. Was she? Was she? Because maybe I missed it. I don't know. I might pick it up. I don't know. I do like the character of Georgie, but it was kind of heartbreaking. We finally reached the end of that series. Now we're going to probably watch Beyond Paradise and get caught up on some other things like we got Last of Us Part 2. And there's just a bunch of other series we haven't caught up on yet. Yeah, it's more. Yeah, I love those bots because they're increasing my viewer numbers, which I don't really actively seek. I'm glad I have a few people on here every morning to say, "Hey, we're here." I don't need 100 billion followers in order to validate my life. That's why I die laughing at all these guys. Like I said, I had a guy try to lecture me once because his follower to followee ratio was way bigger than mine on Twitter, and sure enough, he retracted that tweet real quick because I was like, dude, if you rely on numbers on a page to validate your life and find happiness, I feel pretty bad for you. Well, I was shocked Night Court, even though they only got a few series, a couple series in, it was still pretty good. That's all that mattered to me, really, was how badly are they going to slaughter this. Well, also given the fact that most of the original cast, has passed away, I've seen some clips of the pit on reels and stuff like that. Well, like I said, the only medical show I really ever got into was House. And that's because I loved Hugh Laurie's portrayal of the character, the cast, the ensemble, and it changed over time. And there were good, the last crew they had, no. Well, that's pretty impressive because I think she's only like 17 or 18 years old to get the actor who played Missy. So if you got a novel coming out, good on you. Like I said, I loved House. That was my thing. I have all 8 seasons of House at home on DVD. So I just love that series. Loosely based off Sherlock Holmes, by the way, for you folks who didn't know that. So he had Wilson instead of Watson, House instead of Holmes. I never got much into ER. Come on, my biggest medical show I think before House was probably MASH. Okay. Shows you how old I am, okay? But I know that torch really worked out well, didn't it? That thing, I bought this like tiki torch thing or whatever, that's solar. And it turned out to be way better than I thought. And I've got it out by my Bigfoot statue on the corner of the house. Well, it's just Bigfoot sitting down fishing. I wish I could afford the big Bigfoot, the actual size Bigfoot statue, but them things run over $1,000 or more and weigh God knows how much. I wouldn't even want to try to move it, let alone pay for it. But once again, yeah, we find out Verada Sethu got the role and the scripts 2 weeks before they started shooting. So I got to say hats off to that young lady because talk about pressure, Talk about, you've got to rehearse that shit. You got to get, what do you call it, wardrobe, makeup, all that ready, and do your costume checks, and damn, that's all I got to say. Well, I think I know what happened to that Rubicon I saw over at Tom Hall's, because I swear to God, this one sitting right here looks just like it. Oh, well, you know what I'm talking about, Lady G does. Well, I got to get going anyway. It's over 15 minutes, and I'm trying to keep these 15 minutes and under to keep me, getting into work on time. So be kind, be calm, be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. And hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. We are working Saturday, unless something changes. So you get another bonus Saturday episode this week. So take care, everyone. Have a great day. If I can hit the button. Hang on. All right.